Alright, well, I just got done making a video about Beethoven's Fifth and how it is foreshadowing the San Bernardino attack or shooting or whatever. There's a couple more things I wanted to point out on this movie. The main character is DeVay Chase, and interesting, she's actually S. Darko, like Donnie Darko's younger sister, and then she's the star of the movie S. Darko. And that movie is just interesting in itself. I need to go back and rewatch both of them again. There's lots of coding in both of them movies. But I didn't have the time. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. And then I kind of want to move on and show how it all ties in to the Iowa Hawkeyes and lots of other recent events. So, first off, interesting to point out the gematria of this girl's name, DeVay Chase. It adds up to 56, a number that has been just super coded. Paris, France equals 56, ISIS 56, Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, Rockefeller, Adolf Hitler, Charlie Sheen, Black Lives Matter, all kinds of stuff. I'll get back into the Lupercalia stuff here in a second. But she's also in Donnie Darko, 56. Also interesting to point out, in S. Darko, it's short for Samantha Darko, her name in the movie, which adds up to 126, a number I've also seen connected to these 56s. Interesting, it's also 45. The word 45 adds up to 126. Valentine's Day is the 45th day of the year, the second day of Lupercalia. I have a ton of videos on Valentine's Day dealing with Michael Jordan and whatnot. Also, it's love backwards. Love equals 54. So love backwards would be 45. Evil. Even 54 adds up to 126. And then also Obama's 54 years old this year. The 126th day is 5/6 with 239 remaining. It's the 239th year of the United States. Just had the Missouri Tiger stuff go on, where the protest or whatever, Black Lives Matter, 56. Tiger's Blood, that's what Charlie Sheen has, 126. Even 56 days is 1 month, 26 days. I've also talked about Amy Schumer being in the movie Trainwreck. Lots of coding with Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer, 126. It all ties back to the Philadelphia Trainwreck and lots of Philadelphia coding. I made tons of videos on this. Probably my last 50 videos have all been connected to Philadelphia. The lead singer of the Eagles of Death Metal even adds up to 126. And he goes by the name Boots Electric, which adds up to 56. Even the shooter the other day at San Bernardino, at least the guy, his name adds up to 56. Scott Weiland just died. His real name, or birth name, is Scott Klein. Adds up to 56. Also, in regards to the Philadelphia train wreck, the movie S. Darko just so happened to come out on May 12th, the same day as the Philadelphia train wreck. 6 years before, to the day. And their car breaks down in a tiny Utah town. Interesting, I've talked about the Mormons a whole bunch. The Book of Mormon is 239 chapters. Joseph Smith was allowed to take the golden plates on 9/22. 9/22 is a very special year in the United States. King George III was coronated on 9/22. Of course, that's how we got our freedom from him or whatever. Tons of other stuff. Queen Victoria surpassed him on 9/22 for longest reigning English monarch. Then Queen Elizabeth is now the longest reigning monarch this year on 9/9, which 9/9 and 9/22 are the same day Gregorian to Julian. Pope Francis came to the United States on 9/22. His 923rd day as Pope, he went to the White House the next day on 9/23 at 9:23 a.m. But the interesting thing, why Utah, is because the car breaks down in Utah, but San Bernardino, California here, it actually says that the city was established by pioneers associated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so the Mormons, but they were recalled by Brigham Young due to the Utah War. I just found that kind of interesting. So like I said, I need to go back and rewatch the movies. I see Donnie Darko's even 133 minutes long. 13-3 is when Pope Francis became the Pope. But a few other things I forgot to mention about this movie, Beethoven's Fifth. one of the main characters, like the husband and wife, the criminals that they talk about that basically coincide with the husband and wife that were in the shooting on Wednesday or whatever. But their son is the librarian, and it's this guy. Interesting, I've talked a lot about Looney Tunes and how Kevin Looney was the leading scorer on Valentine's Day last year, and then Zach Levine won the slam dunk contest, the Teen Wolf doing the Space Jam dunk and whatnot, Looney Tunes. But this guy's on an episode of Family Matters, and it's episode 124. It's called The Looney Bin, and he's like the annoying neighbor guy or something. I can't remember. And he's like, it's not Looney, it's Looney or whatever. So just kind of interesting. I've talked about this show a whole bunch. Even this show even came out on 9/22. They go to Paris even, I think, towards the end. I think there's like a 3-part episode where they go to Paris. So just want to point that out. There was also an episode, I think it was this one, where Steve's good on the basketball team, but nobody thinks he is. And the teams are literally red and they're Golden State and Cleveland Cavalier colors. And of course, Steve is Stefan, like Stephen Curry and blah, 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 blah. I think they are the Muskrats. Their team is the Muskrats. Or it could be the other team. The other team's the Muskrats. But Muskrats adds up to 122, just like Pope Francis, just like Golden State, just like San Francisco. They play the San Francisco Bay. Pretty interesting stuff. Also, the 56th episode literally even involves police brutality. I also wanted to point out here at the very end, they make a Saturn reference. They do this in tons of movies. I was even watching the movie Real Genius with, I can't even think, Val Kilmer and whatnot the other night. And when the kid first moves into his dorm room, they have a big old picture of Saturn in the background. But listen to what this lady says at the end here.
Genesis one was going to beam me straight up, and I'm not ready to go. I'll tell you that. No. And even when I am ready to go, it sure as heck's not going to be to Saturn. So what? Aliens are behind all this? Such a fool. It wasn't aliens. It was Harold. Harold Herman talked you into this? He spoke to the aliens. Well,
so, I mean, there you go. Just weird that they would put a Saturn reference in such a kid's movie, and people probably don't even realize it. And there are many Saturn worshippers in this world. And there are a lot of the people that do this stuff. So just wanted to point that out really quick. Funny too, she blames it on Harold Herman, the HH reference. The H is the 8th letter. It's 88, right? And Saturn is the god of time and whatnot. Back to the Future, they have to go 88 miles an hour to go back in time or whatever. Pretty interesting stuff. And of course, then you got S. Darko and Donnie Darko that both deal with time travel and whatnot. So, and actually, I'm just going to make a whole separate video. I thought I could do this a lot faster, but in the original Beethoven movie, Beethoven, the first film or whatever, one of the things is the bad guy in this movie is actually Dean Jones. The guy from Herbie who just died this year, Herbie the Love Bug, just died on 9/1. I've talked about this a ton of times, dealing with the Nebraska Cornhuskers and how they're going to have a bad season, or a coded season at least, because this guy died on 9/1. He's Herbie. Nebraska's mascot is Herbie. I've talked about 91 a ton of times, dealing with death and elimination and whatnot. But it's just pretty interesting because I talked about all the 12s in this movie and how it's exactly 12. It came out exactly 12 years before the San Bernardino shootings. Pretty much foreshadows them. The town is even all about mining and mercury. I just found out, and I forgot that Mercury Wednesday is actually named after Mercury, the god, and the shooting happened on a Wednesday, exactly 12 years before. There was tons of 12 references in this movie. But also in the Nebraska Cornhuskers, in the very first game of the season, when they played BYU, the Mormon school, the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints school, there was a lot of 12 references. Also, I mentioned 55. if you go back to September, you can watch a ton of my videos and see how it all started to play out or whatever. But in that first game against BYU, Tanner Mangum came in the game because Tyson Hill got hurt for the second time in that game. He came in with 12-12 left on the clock, and they moved the ball back to the 12-yard line for absolutely no reason, and he was also number 12. And then, of course, he threw the Hail Mary to win the game, and there was some other stuff with it. I think he threw one play for like 34 yards or something, and then the touchdown Hail Mary was like 43 yards, and there was all kinds of stuff in that game. That was the most like coded game I've ever seen. I don't know how it was done, if it was magic or what, but it was ridiculous. There was so much coding in that game. But I'm just going to end it here. I'll make a video about the Iowa Hawkeyes next here before the game starts, because I think I'm going to change my mind on my pick. I think the Iowa Hawkeyes are going to lose. Or at least if they don't lose, there's going to be lots of coding with the number 55 or something. It's a pretty special day it's actually 9/23 on the Hebrew calendar. It's the mirror of the Philadelphia train wreck. It's 12/5 today. Philadelphia train wreck happened on 5/12. But 55 has just seemed to be coded with bad things or elimination as well recently. So anyway, like I said, going to make another video, so have a good one.